So welcome back to Street Switch Photography. This is about the bloke from Epping that was staying in the hotel that was accidentally on purpose released from prison. And guess what? Nova Media are actually doing a live on it. So I thought I'd do a live of their live and debunk it as we actually go through. And we'll have a look in the comments down here as well as we do it. So let's run the intro.
Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
So welcome back to Street Switch Photography. Yes, here we are. We're on this Nivira, or whatever it is, live. And we're going to be doing a debunk. Let's have a listen to what they've got to say about this.
Welcome to Novara Live.
Thank you.
It's Monday afternoon. I'm Michael Walker.
Thank you.
I'm joined by Turn Left's Curtis Daly. Great to have you back, Curtis.
Yeah, very happy to be back. I hope you're doing okay, Michael.
Hi, Curtis. You all right, mate? How you keeping?
I'm doing fine, actually.
You're not Curtis. You're Michael.
We have some, shocking stories coming up. The bizarre handling of one of the country's most high-profile sex offenders and their accidental release. He wasn't even trying to escape. Really, I think.
No one said he was trying to escape, hence they said in the mainstream, even the mainstream media, he was accidentally released.
Shows quite how far the British state has fallen.
Because of lefties like you.
Also, we'll talk about how Malay's huge win in the Argentine midterm elections. Very interesting political phenomenon over there. The Reform MP, who, if you were a Reform MP this weekend, there were a lot of legitimate things you could be annoyed about, like the sex offender being released by accident from prison when he wasn't even trying to escape.
The sex offender that was accidentally released from prison and then points out that he wasn't trying to escape. That makes no sense whatsoever, but he has to put in there that he wasn't trying to escape because these lefties, these far lefties, this is all to do with Hope Not Hate, are paedophile supporters.
But this Reform MP, as you might have seen, has decided that what's really got her going is seeing Black and Asian people in adverts. On TV and on billboards. We'll discuss that. And then finally, British commentator and Israel critic Sami Hamdi has been arrested by ICE while on a US-speaking tour. Do stay tuned for all of that. As ever, if you'd like to support our work, you can sign up at novaramedia.com/support and make sure to let
I'd rather shit in my hands and clap.
Let us know your comments in the YouTube chat. First story, if you had any doubt that Britain isn't working, this weekend should have confirmed it. Now, on Friday, we got the news that one of the country's most high-profile sex offenders who had crossed the channel on a small boat and who's...
Illegally. Illegally. It was illegal. He was from Ethiopia. It was illegal. He attacked 2 people.
Crime sparked a riot, had been released back...
It wasn't a riot, it was a protest. Sorry to have to tell you that. It was a peaceful protest. Until the lefties came along and started winding everybody up and the police actually brought them in.
Into the public by accident, only a month after being sentenced to jail.
For a year.
This was all news that we discussed very briefly on Friday because it had just broken, and that was bad enough. Then on Saturday, to add insult to injury, we discovered the man in question wasn't even trying to escape.
Everybody knows he wasn't trying to escape. No one said he was trying to escape. They're saying he was accidentally released, you moron. Why do you keep going on about he tried to escape? He didn't try to escape. He said he'd been deported, which he hasn't, but...
Sky News spoke to another gentleman who was delivering a fridge freezer to Chelmsford Prison.
Oh, Dave. Works for Hermes, my Hermes.
When Hadush Kabatu was accidentally released.
So I'd parked outside, popped in, showed him my ID.
He parked outside and I seen him going back inside to try and ask what he was supposed to do. I have not been paid to do this interview at all. You can trust Sky News and the BBC.
Showed him who I was at the point of where the guy was released. So I went in, gave him my ID. The guy was released. He walked out of the airlock. He then kept returning back to the airlock and basically saying to the officers there, "Where am I going? What am I doing?"
Now, considering this guy is a delivery driver and fridges aren't heavy and he was only delivering a fridge, it was there a very long time, an hour and a half.
I don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing. He was holding a pack of paperwork in his arm, literally like that.
It was actually in a bag.
Holding his bag of bits. You could see inside his clear bag had brown bits where it said evidence and stuff like that on it.
So he didn't know what was happening?
No, he knew he'd been deported. So he'd come over to me and said, "I need you to help me, I need you to help me." His English was pretty good, to be honest with you. He was basically asking me to help, and I said, "I'm sorry, what can I do? You know, I don't know where
I'm delivering a fridge.
to go. I don't know where to go." And I said, "I don't know." I said, "I'm just making a delivery here."
That took an hour and a half.
And he said, I've been deported. So he kept going back and forth. Anyway, he walked into
I'll be like, you clearly haven't because you're still here, mate.
the reception of the actual prison and was saying to the officers there as well, where do I go? What do I do? And he was presenting the paperwork he had, and they were saying...
Now, if anybody can find out who this guy is, what his name is, where he works and everything, can see if he's had anything to do with Sky News before in previous news stories or anything like that, because usually you find that they have.
Saying that you've got to go to a set place. Exactly what for, I'm not sure. It was something to do with the deportation, and I don't know the whole process of it. But there was no address. There was no set address to say, right, this is where you're going, and this
He knows a lot of information for seeing him for a few minutes, and then
is how you get there. So he kept saying, well, where do I go? What do I do? I don't know. And then he'd come, they basically was almost sending him away. It's like, go. You've been released, you go.
So they're literally forcing him to escape. He's sort of like, I don't, what?
Forcing him to escape. You just said he wasn't trying to escape. Make your mind up.
What am I supposed to do? And they're like, just go. Stop coming back to us and asking us questions about what's supposed to happen. Just leave, please.
Now, if they knew what a risk he was and he was supposed to be in prison for a year and he was a risk to the public, what are they doing letting him go anyway? He should have just been deported and he should have been taken to the deportation centre via a police car or something.
When you hear that someone's escaped from prison, you think, oh, maybe there was a plan behind that. Maybe there was...
He didn't escape, and no one said he tried to escape.
There was some trickery, there was some fraud, or there was, a very dramatic escape where someone had to climb through a very high window and then over a big wall.
He's been watching too many movies, I think.
This was a guy who was literally being told, please get out of this prison. And apparently, this is even more bizarre. It went on for a really long...
We need to make room for somebody that wrote a Facebook post, a meme about Sadiq Khan. That's why they wanted rid of him.
long time. Because the delivery man you just heard from said that after he went into the prison to complete the delivery that he was there to do, that Kabatu,
which took an hour and a half,
was still there on his way out.
So it wasn't a case of he's released and he's disappeared and ran off. He was standing around the prison trying to work out where he needed to go for maybe an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer, before I overheard one of the officers saying, right, this is how you get to the station. You go down here, la-di-da.
So somebody at the prison directed him to the station?
Yes, yeah. And they told him he had to get on a train.
So he really didn't want to escape.
So where did he get his money from for the train? Again, accidentally, on purpose.
Hey, he was there for 90 minutes. That's longer than watching a whole feature film. But he was there saying, what am I supposed to do? And they say, just go to the station, get on the train, go anywhere but here. So, as you know, after basically forcing Hadush Kabatu to flee justice, this was a man on the run, and a high-profile manhunt began. Except at this point, it was very unclear whether Kabatu actually knew anyone was looking for him. So after making his way from the prison to Chelmsford town centre, he was filmed asking members of the public for help, still wearing his full prison gear, presumably somewhat confused. He then made it to Hackney. I don't know where he got the money for the ticket. Maybe that's what someone helped him with there. Obviously Hackney in East London, where he was caught on CCTV casually walking up the stairs in Dalston Library. The police then released this image.
What we'll do is we'll watch the comments as they come up the screen along with the video.
And encourage the public to look out for a man carrying a bag decorated with avocados. According to the Sun newspaper, Kibati was later spotted asking for a free night stay at a Premier Inn in Dalston. Remember, this is a guy who had only been in the country for 2 weeks when he was arrested. So it's unclear if he would have known anyone to help him out. He's probably quite confused. And the farce continued until Sunday morning when he was arrested in Finsbury Park. So a passerby filmed the arrest, which took place at around 8:30 a.m. after someone spotted him and called the police. Now, this is a quote from a local dog walker. So they said, "I knew that he'd last been seen in the Hackney area, and I thought, oh, that looks awfully like that guy. He's not wearing the same clothes, but it looks like him. He wasn't struggling. He was walking quite calmly, a bit dejectedly. He was staring down. He had his hood up, but it was a calm
Oh, he must have been sad.
situation. It was a leisurely stroll out of the park with him."
Now, what you will find is sometimes these far left idiots will stand outside a hotel where there's a protest going on and counter-protest it and basically start calling people Nazi, calling people all the usual names that you get. And these people, make no mistake, are trying to protect these people that want to do things, groomers, as I like to call them. They're groomer protectors. And they make me sick. They make me sick to my stomach. And I hate them.
With his hands cuffed, but he wasn't trying to get away. This is he might feel like he's been arrested. Finally, someone is going to meant to be deported, but doesn't know where. Wandering around Hackney and Finsbury Park for a weekend, and then finally at 8 a.m., someone tells the police that this guy who apparently there's this huge manhunt, but doesn't seem to know that anyone's looking for him. The police come and arrest him, and he's a bit dejected, but also maybe a little bit relieved. I don't know. Wes Streeting broke the news of...
Oh, here's old Wes. Wes Streeting. What a plonker.
Kibati's arrest after the heroic action of our police force in Finsbury Park on Sunday morning, speaking to the BBC.
This morning, we finally managed to track him down. He's been arrested, and I want to say an enormous thank you.
But they can track somebody down within an hour when it comes to social media posts.
To the public whose vigilance enabled this arrest this morning. He's been detained.
He looks like a slightly aroused Hawaiian prostitute there, doesn't he?
And will be deported. What we will also do is ascertain how on earth it was that he was ever released into the public in the first place when he should have been deported. The Justice Secretary has ordered an investigation. That will take place. There will be accountability, and we will be open and honest with the...
Will that investigation be a lot quicker than the grooming scandal investigation that's supposed to have gone ahead, but people are saying that it's not going to go ahead now because there's 9,000 of them in London?
Public about what went wrong, who is being held to account, and what we plan to do about it to stop this happening again.
So what did go wrong with the accidental release of Hadish Kibati? Well, the chief of Her Majesty's Prison Inspectorate says these types of things are hardly unusual.
Prisons are just so busy, particularly big in this. We're seeing many of these releases in error. And it is worth saying that at Pentonville recently, we also saw many releases in error the other way, which was prisoners being kept beyond the end of their sentence, because again, the sentence hadn't been calculated properly.
Now, that bit at the end really struck me because, obviously you think, how can someone get released by accident? But then you've also got the opposite, which is there are loads of people sitting in prison who are supposed to be released. So they're saying, look, I'm supposed to be released.
Try reading the comments as you're watching this video if you can, because some of them are hilarious.
Released now, and then the prison guard saying, no, you're not. No, you're not. They're like, well, the guy next to me, who I know committed a sex...
Before I started to do this live, I was actually commenting on it, and I got blocked within 2 comments. 1 for putting Israeli flags, and 2 for basically explaining that the guy that was accidentally released was a nonce. As soon as I put that, blocked, done. They didn't want nothing to do with me.
Offence and was convicted just 2 weeks ago. He's just walked out with an avocado bag, and I'm here, and I was supposed to be released weeks ago. I want to go see my wife and kids. I mean, working in prisons, I did an interview about this a while ago, but people who work in prisons have a really, really difficult job. It's really dangerous.
You mean prison officers? It is. That's what he means, isn't it?
Dangerous. It's not particularly well paid. And I mean, we're going to talk about this in a bit more detail in a moment, but because of austerity, lots of the most experienced people have left.
Now, if you want to take the time to pause this video, go over onto Google and go and look at the demographics of the prisons and who actually is running the prisons. Just go and have a look at the demographics and why they're so violent.
Extremely high turnover. Like, I already knew it was miserable and dangerous to be there, because also the fact that you've got these, I mean, this is slightly separate to the Bartu issue, isn't it? But because you've got underfunding and you've got inexperienced people, that means you have to lock people in their cells for more of the time throughout the day, because you need actually expertise and people to manage that. So the whole thing seems like a terribly miserable situation, but I hadn't realized that you would also have prisoners saying, I'm supposed to be released and I haven't been released yet, and other prisoners who you're releasing who don't even want to be released. But that seems to be the situation. Notably, Kabatu isn't even the first person in recent years to have been released from this particular prison, so Chelmsford Prison. In 2023, the prison was duped into freeing Junaid Ahmed, aged 36, after a fake email from the Royal Courts of Justice said he should be released on bail. Can you guess what the prisoner was in jail for? He was on bail for fraud. So they should have guessed, really. And this bit is good. I like this. The authorities realised their mistake only after becoming suspicious when they received similar emails urging the release of 2 more prisoners, Adam Mohammed and Charlie Whittaker. So you've got whoever the friend of these.
This guy thinks it's amusing that a groomer was released from prison.
Well, this guy was on bail, so maybe he was convicted ultimately, but these suspected criminals who's just sort of saying, oh, we think that our friend should be released, signed the Royal Courts of Justice. They're probably shocked that he's been released. And then the next day they're like, oh, also actually from the Royal Courts of Justice, can you release Adam and Charlie? And then by that point, they're like, this seems a bit suspicious. Why is this email from hotmail.com? I don't know, Royal Courts of Justice 1@hotmail.com. It all makes you wonder whether the Tories cutting the Justice Department's budget by 1/4 was actually such a good idea. And this chart from the IFS shows how budgets for the Ministry of Justice have changed since 2002. So as you can see, they went up under Labour until the financial crisis. Then under the Tories, they fell to 30% below their 2002 levels, or 40% below their peaks. And they then recovered. They still haven't quite recovered. Although the key here is, even if we do bring that funding back to the level it was.
You read that one. Reform get all the free media attention.
Which, by the way, I don't think Labour are.
Considering all the mainstream media work for the far left. Seriously.
2010 levels anyway.
But then saying that, I suppose they've got a point, because mainstream media are actually failing now, aren't they? More and more people are turning to independent media because they tell the truth.
You've already lost all the expertise, because what you do when you do cuts to a public service is you offer voluntary redundancy. Well, first of all, when the cuts sort of start to be implemented, it gets a bit more miserable to work.
So we're talking about somebody that did one of the most heinous crimes, who was an illegal migrant in a hotel, and somebody writes underneath, racism is less racist when international racism is apparently, yeah. It's nothing to do with race. It's the fact is a frigging nonce.
In the workplace, because you're not hiring new people.
Subscribers only
so
mode.
You can't do your job properly. Then you offer voluntary redundancies. That means that all the experienced people take the voluntary redundancy because they don't like doing this miserable job anymore. And then you just get into this doom spiral where even if you then give it new money, everyone you're employing is new. The expertise is gone. Basically, it's a big mess that you don't want to get into, but we've got into it.
This is worth it just for the bloody comments, isn't it? I've got to be honest.
Curtis, this is a serious issue, but it's difficult not to find the farcical nature of this accidental prison break, this reluctant prison break, let's be real.
Wasn't a prison break.
I don't know, painfully amusing.
Yeah, I mean, look, it would be really, really funny.
How can you find it amusing? What sort of idiot would find it amusing that one of these people have been released from prison by accident and poses a risk to the public, to children? How how is that amusing? Am I going mad, or am I just completely missing the bloody point? What is amusing about that?
It wasn't so serious. But my God, this is like a plot of a Monty Python film. I mean, the man wants to be deported, and no one wants to deport him. It's absolutely farcical. I mean, we've got so many layers.
But if we left the ECHR and did what Italy and Germany are doing, we'd be able to deport him, wouldn't we?
Let's do this.
But human rights matter way too much for you guys, don't they?
But look, first of all, this is a man walking around in prison clothes, right? He's on CCTV. And yet, by the way, I find it very funny that people want a surveillance state and they think it's somehow makes us safer. Well, I'm sorry, but this guy has been walking.
Yeah, but if he'd have had digital ID, that's the ploy they're going to use, isn't it? Oh, but if we gave everybody digital ID, it'd have all been good. That's why I think he was accidentally on purpose released, as to try and turn around and say, well, digital ID would have worked here. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for the bull crap. Don't fall for the propaganda.
Around calmly, been on multiple videotapes. And are we any safer? No, we're not. Look, public trust is pretty much at an all-time low. And this is going to have a very, very big political fallout from this.
Totally agree with that.
To imagine. I mean, obviously the right wing are going to jump on this anyway, right? But we are in a low trust society, but that's a very deep-seated reason as to why we have that. First of all, we've had the decimation of
a low trust society, and you wonder why we have it, because all the police have turned into lefties. That's why.
The public realm. It's not the first time I said that. It won't be the last time I said that. 45 years of neoliberalism, where basically the entire public have been destroyed, society has been destroyed, and that is through, obviously, of course, underfunding and austerity. So you've got a low trust society anyway, compounded with a media that also doesn't really reflect the real issues of the British people, and outright pushes conspiracy theories as well. I mean, look, there's now a lot of people, and by the way, none of us can...
Like flat earthers, or that we haven't got an immigration problem.
Know for certain, but there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, this was obviously done on purpose. You're going to hear right-wing conspiracies saying, oh, this is Keir Starmer.
Right-wing conspiracy theorists. Again, go over onto Google, go and look up flat earthers and find out how many of those are actually lefties. Go and look up conspiracy theorists. These are the same people that think men are women and women are men. So that's all I'm saying on that.
Wanting to do this now, to push his left-wing agenda. I know, crazy stuff. But it's really, really important to understand that the economics behind this issue is really salient. Now, I think potentially we might be able to convince the right wing even more on this particular thing, because austerity, I mean, when you say...
Convince the right wing even more? You haven't even slightly convinced us of anything after what happened at the weekend.
Public cuts and austerity creates more...
These are the same idiots here. These are the same idiots that went out on Saturday with the little boards, stop racism, and then when all the Muslims came out all masked up, turned around to them and said, we're on your side. The Muslims turned around and went, no, you're not. That was probably one of the most beautiful videos I've seen in a long, long time.
Child poverty, some people go, well, that's just the market. When you say public cuts create more violent sex criminals being released in society, maybe they listen. I mean, your chart showed there that nearly a quarter of the funding was cut. We had I think we had a probation...
Conspiracy theorists. He's conspiring.
Budget cut by 12% in 1 year. Some of the stats I'm looking at is really wild to me. In 2025, there was a 128% increase in accidental prisoners being released on error. Right, 130% increase on the year before. This is wild to me. Nothing works in this country. Our public services have been completely shot. And another layer to this is the fact that our political class are creating social problems, right? If you look at the public realm and you look at neoliberalism...
He's a fascist, not a liberal. Why is everybody that doesn't agree with these people a fascist, yet that would make them fascist? Do they even know what fascist actually means? What the hell?
You can see that crime is up in certain instances, not violent crime, that's actually down
when it comes to... The beauty of racism and the elites. Oh, Oh,
theft, for example,
the comments.
That's gone up. And we're seeing more social discohesion. We're seeing more social problems. And that basically gives the right wing a nice little silver platter because they can say, look at all these social problems. And their explanation is, well, of course, it's due to high amounts of immigration.
Which it is.
Or too high immigration.
Illegal immigration, correct.
In a short period of time. It's due.
Since 2015 to 2019, that's when it all started after Boris Johnson and we did the Brexit and everything else, if you remember.
With culture, all these things. And even
there seems to be a bit of a culture problem as well because some people don't want to assimilate into society, mainly Islamists, which is why everybody is being Islamified.
Even though we would disagree with that, you're basically giving them a narrative on the plate because at least they're coming up with an explanation. The political class will say, we can absolutely cut public services. I mean, Rachel Reeves said, I think in May, that she wanted to cut day-to-day spending and save £6 billion by 2030, right? The political...
He's a Green Party voter, isn't he? It's got to be. It's got to be.
Class can do that. And then when you see these massive social crises happen, the right wing have their narrative. It's absolutely insane. I mean, I want to go for neoliberalism, and I know people are going to think, oh, you bring up neoliberalism again, but I just don't see how you can't look at the deep-rooted issues.
That's because most people on the right aren't as thick as pig shit like you, my friend.
From this. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really, because again, my worry is the political fallout from this because And actually, you make a really good point. I just want to jump on that. You make a really good point about how even though we can put in funding into these public services, right, we have to train up these doctors. In fact, the probation services themselves said that our services are inadequate. A lot of staff are not well prepared or trained. They're saying this themselves, and the government isn't listening. And even if we put more funding into probation services, right, it's going to be 10, 20 years sort of political project to get people back into the skills, the high policy skills we need to protect our society.
Now, is it me or is the CIA American?
Lots to talk about. Let's go on to someone who's annoyed about something else this weekend. Come on. Reform MP, Sarah Puchin. Is it Puchin or Pochin? Pochin? What's that?
I think it's Sarah Pochin, and she mentioned the adverts of people with white people in them.
Like that again. Reform MP Sarah Pochin is absolutely fuming. Can you guess why?
Drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people, full of, people that basically are anything.
What's wrong with that, Sarah?
Now wait for it, because they're going to cut out the bit where she turns around and say it seems to be white males that are actually being targeted and stuff like that. They're not going to tell you the full story. There you go.
People who are anything but...
Now, the reason she's so annoyed is because it seems to be, I mean, I think GB News have actually done a piece on this as well, is they tend to use white male men when it comes to the protection of women. And they show these white male men having a go at women and stuff like that. And then a black person will come in and protects the white woman. And there's a lot of these adverts going out because of political correctness and all the rest of it, and diversity and inclusion. And she's right to pick up on it because that is actually true. So what he's going to say, I honestly don't know. He's going to try and fob it off, I think, but they haven't shown you that part.
White.
Look at the colour of his skin, mate.
Of all the things to get fuming about. When I see adverts with black people.
Oh, he's tried to bring it up with racism because that's what these people do, you see.
Asian people. Anyone but white people. I'm furious.
That was not what she said.
And we should be fair to Sarah. I mean, she doesn't deserve this, but and it doesn't excuse what she said, but there was a context here.
Yeah, tell the whole truth, but you haven't, have you?
As I say, the context doesn't excuse it, but will show you why she ended up saying that completely racist thing. This was the discussion that...
So you're saying it was racist to mention that white and black people were in adverts. That's racist, is it? You twat.
That led up to that.
A bit left field, this one, but I think it's creepingly important. Would Reform do anything to look at the representation of the demographics of TV and public advertising? Because we're getting to the point now where adverts.
All you have to do is look at Netflix and look at some of the series on there that they were originally going to be, and then they changed everything.
Don't represent what this country looks like, and and actually positive demonisation of white people, just portrayed as criminals or inadequate when they're not portrayed anywhere else.
There you go. Now, I'm surprised Nova Media have actually showed that part, but what he'll try and do is twist it round some way, one way or another.
This is important. We got a case of art imitates life, because we're getting to the point where a number of my friends think that we're being discriminated like it.
So Scott Law has just made a very good example here. He's just put, it is though, so 7% of the population go to public school, yet, see what I mean? 45% plus. So she had every right to say what she said, because she's right. Because she's correct doesn't make it racist, does it?
In employment markets, because white men are seen as useless and whatever and just invisible. And there's one financial institution which coincidentally uses a strikingly similar image of Nigel in their advertising for an incompetent, useless, arrogant white male. I just wondered if that's something we would look into.
Okay, Stuart, stay where you are. Sarah, what do you think of what Stuart's saying? What would reform?
I don't know what she's referring to actually, but this is being discussed. There's been a few articles printed about it in the Daily Mail and the like, because Channel 4 did some research which found...
Because we can trust Channel 4, can't we? They're probably the most untrustworthy channel actually out there. Them and the BBC, Jesus, and you chose Channel 4, maybe because that's got something to do with Hope Not Hate. Maybe you should go and watch the documentary. Panodrama.
That compared to the demographics of the population, Black people and other ethnic minorities, but especially Black people, are overrepresented because they're only 4% of the population, and apparently, according to this, they feature in half of commercials. Now, the thing that she said, which is completely untrue, well, the thing that's completely unreasonable is that this makes her furious, that she gets very angry when she sees a Black or an Asian person in an advert. That's, I mean, ridiculous, and presumably comes...
What you're saying is absolutely ridiculous. I've got to admit.
Racism. The bit that she said, which is completely untrue, is that there are loads of adverts without white people. Because what's happening here is that adverts are always very mixed. Now, apparently, actually, one group who's very underrepresented is disabled people. But when it comes to race, adverts will often have mixed race couples. There'll always be a scenario.
Maybe put some trans people in there. Maybe get a man dressed as a woman doing a body form advert. What do you think? A Tampax advert. A bloke dressed as a woman looking at it like that and thinking, where do I stick this? No, sorry.
Sorry, where there's a group of friends, or one of them is white, one of them is a man, one of them is maybe gay. It's because as an advertiser, what you want to do is...
I'm going to end this video here, because he's just basically dribbling warm bullshit, verbal diarrhea now. He's basically just gone into this ramble of complete and utter lies and calling people racist, Nazis, fascists, and it's all in the comments down here as well, I hope you've been reading some of the comments that have been coming up, because some of them have been so off the mark, it's unbelievable. This is how out of touch lefties actually are. This has been Street Switch Photography. If you like this new format, give me a big thumbs up or a thumbs down. Go and hit the notification bell, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video. Run the outro.
Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.